$15 billion spent. 0 miles of high-speed track laid. In 2026, California's bullet train is concrete pillars in the Central Valley. About 80 miles of viaducts and structures, holding up nothing, going nowhere. No train, no riders, just politicians asking for more cash. This wasn't an accident. This project was set up to fail, step by step, decision by decision. And I'm going to prove it. This is the California High-Speed Rail Project. Los Angeles to San Francisco. 600 kilometers. 350 kilometers per hour. 2 hours, 40 minutes. The technology exists. Japan has done it since 1964. China built more high-speed rail in the last 15 years than the rest of the world combined. California could have done it too. But this is a story about what happens when a government takes the money before it has a plan, and then spends 20 years explaining why that's not their fault. It starts with a vote, and the first mistake. It's 2008. California put something called Proposition 1A on the ballot. The pitch: approve a $9.95 billion bond, and will build high-speed rail from San Francisco to Los Angeles. Total cost: $33.5 billion. The state pays a third. The federal government pays a third. Private investors pay the rest. Travel time, 2 hours and 40 minutes. Ticket price, around $55. Ready by 2020. Californians vote yes. 52.6% in favor. And here's the thing, nobody told them. At the time of that vote, there was no route, no detailed engineering, no real cost analysis. The $33.5 billion number was produced by consultants based on assumptions, not on actual ground surveys, not on actual geology, not on what it would actually cost to acquire land in one of the most expensive states in America. The California High-Speed Rail Authority put a number in front of voters before they knew what the project would actually require. That's not a mistake. That's how it started. 1 year later, 2009, Obama's stimulus package, the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. California gets $3.5 billion for high-speed rail. Great news. But the money comes with a condition. Construction must start in the Central Valley by 2012. Use it or lose it. So California has to start building, now, in a specific location, before the full route is planned, before the environmental reviews are done, before anyone knows how it connects to anything. They pick the easiest stretch, flat farmland between Merced and Bakersfield. No tunnels, no mountains, low land costs, and they break ground. What they're building is a segment in the middle of nowhere. On its own, it goes from one small city to another small city that most Californians couldn't point to on a map. No connection to San Francisco, no connection to Los Angeles. Just start here, figure out the rest later. And later is still happening, in 2026. Here's the next problem. The route. Voters in 2008 approved a line from San Francisco to Los Angeles. Direct. Fast. The whole point. What's actually being built runs inland, through the Central Valley, through Bakersfield, through Merced. Cities that are not San Francisco, cities that are not Los Angeles. Why? Politics. Central Valley politicians wanted stations in their districts, economic development, jobs. So the route got bent, it got longer, slower, more expensive to build. And the people it was designed to serve now have a train that doesn't go where they're going, and it gets worse. The new plan includes sections where high-speed trains share track with regular commuter trains. Metrolink, Caltrain, slow regional rail that stops every few kilometers. If your high-speed train is sharing track with a commuter train, it is not a high-speed train. It is a train. A regular, slow, completely ordinary train. The Japanese didn't do this. The French didn't do this. California calls it blended operations and puts it in the business plan with a straight face. Now we get to where the $15 billion actually went. Construction started in 2015. Civil works, bridges, viaducts, structures, and almost immediately, the contractors started sending letters. The main contractor on the first construction package started at just under $1 billion. By the time the work was done, $2.2 billion, more than double, because of delay claims, because of change orders, because of land that wasn't ready, utilities that hadn't been moved, problems that should have been solved before construction started, but weren't because the project was rushed into the ground to meet a federal deadline. The main contractor on the second package, a Spanish firm called Dragados, sent a formal warning letter to the authority. Further delays coming, because land issues weren't resolved. And then there are the change orders. A change order is when a contractor comes back and says, that thing we said would cost X, it's going to cost more. Sign here. As of late 2025, 597 change orders. Together, $2.3 billion extra, on top of everything else. One single change order this year, $537 million. One. That's more than 5% of what the entire project was supposed to cost when Californians voted for it. And here's the part that should make you angry. In 2019, thousands of pages of public records were quietly removed from the project's official website. Detailed change order information, historical spending data, internal documents, gone. Journalists who want to track where the money is going now have to file formal public records requests, a process described as slow and unreliable. When you take the receipts offline, you don't get to say you have nothing to hide. So where does this leave us in 2026? The optimized plan, the number the project's own leadership is defending, puts the cost of Phase 1 at $128 billion, San Francisco to Los Angeles. But the version based on what was actually promised to voters, $231 billion. The authorities' own documents produced that number. That is a 700% cost overrun, from $33 billion to $231 billion in 18 years. The UK's HS2, which the British press treats as a historic national catastrophe, was originally budgeted at £37 billion. People resigned. Committees were formed. The government got crucified. And even HS2 looks reasonable next to this. Now, California's plan to pay for $128 billion. They have one funding source, cap and trade revenue. The state's pollution permit auction, locked in at $1 billion per year through 2045. That is $20 billion. $128 billion project. The gap is over $108 billion, and there is no plan. No federal money. Trump's Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy pulled $4 billion in 2025, calling this a train to nowhere. The Federal Railroad Administration then published a 300-page compliance review. Its conclusion: there is no viable path forward. More clawbacks are under review. No private money, still zero. After 18 years, no plan B. At the 2026 Senate Transportation Committee hearing, Democrat Senator Catherine Blakespear looked at the project leadership and said 4 words. Well, this is a disaster. She wasn't wrong. Here's the part that almost never makes the news. Prop 1A, the law Californians voted for in 2008, includes a specific legal requirement. The rail service cannot require a public operating subsidy. It has to cover its own costs from ticket revenue. That was the deal. Now read what the 2026 business plan says about the first segment. Bakersfield to Merced, 171 miles. The only part that might open by 2033. It says the segment would not generate sufficient revenue to cover its total operational expenses. So the first train that opens, if it ever opens, will legally need the exact thing the law says it cannot have. There is no legal analysis in the business plan addressing this. No explanation. They just wrote it in a footnote and kept going. If a private company structured a product this way, promise one thing, deliver something illegal, take the money, we'd have a different word for it. This isn't just Republican politicians scoring points. Lou Thompson was the chairman of California's high-speed rail peer review group. Not a partisan. a career transportation expert who spent years on this project specifically trying to make it work. In March 2026, he sent a letter to the state legislature. In it, he described the draft business plan as evidence that the project has reached a dead end. The Legislative Analyst Office, California's own nonpartisan budget watchdog, concluded the authority cannot afford even the scaled-down version. The financing assumptions are unrealistic. The schedule is not achievable. There is no credible path to completion. The state's Inspector General confirmed the 2033 target will not be met. The peer review chairman, the budget watchdog, the Inspector General, all three, in the same year. This isn't opposition. This is the system of oversight that exists to make the project succeed, telling the state it cannot. So why does it keep going? Because stopping is also expensive. If California cancels today, it risks having to return federal grants already spent. Contractors file lawsuits. Politicians admit they were wrong. And someone has to explain to Californians what happened to $15 billion. So the pattern repeats. New business plan, new timeline, new cost estimate, new promises. Every 2 years, and every time, the number goes up. This is the sunk cost fallacy in its purest form. We've spent $15 billion, so we can't stop now. Even though stopping now costs less than continuing. Even though everyone looking at the numbers says it doesn't work. Even though the project being built is not the project that was voted for. With $15 billion, California could have built 60,000 affordable housing units in Los Angeles, rebuilt every deteriorating bridge in the state, fully funded its public university system for 6 years. Instead, concrete pillars, in a field, no train. The people who made these decisions, still working in government. They say the first train runs in 2033, Bakersfield to Merced, 171 miles. Not San Francisco, not Los Angeles. The Inspector General says 2033 won't happen. The LAO says the money isn't there. The FRA published 300 pages saying there's no viable path forward. The peer review chairman says the project is a dead end. And the math says there's a $108 billion hole with no plan to fill it. This project was broken before it started, voted on before it was designed, forced to build in the wrong place by a federal deadline, bent into the wrong route by political pressure, hollowed out by change orders nobody can fully track, and now defended by people who have too much to lose by admitting it failed. $15 billion spent, 0 track laid, money wasted. Let me know in the comments which project I should look at next. See you in the next video.